Smoke rose from the broken walls of the outpost. Human soldiers moved through the ruins searching for survivors. The battle had ended hours ago, but the sky was still red from fire and ash. Private Elias Dane walked alone, his gun ready. He had seen too much war, but something about today felt strange. Then he saw her. At the edge of the destroyed plaza, a figure stepped out from the shadows. Her gown was torn, stained with dirt and blood. Chains hung from her wrists. She was tall, with glowing violet eyes and silver skin that shimmered under the dusty sunlight. Behind her, holding tightly to her leg, was a small alien girl. No more than 5 or 6. Elias raised his weapon. The woman did not move. Instead, she fell to her knees and bowed her head. "Please," she said, her voice soft but shaking. "I surrender. Do not shoot." Elias lowered his gun slowly, surprised. "Who are you?" She looked up. "I am Soraya, Princess of House Varnix." He blinked. He had heard of the Varnix family. A royal alien bloodline, powerful, dangerous, all wiped out in the last rebellion, but this one, she was alive. Elias looked at the child. The girl was crying, holding her mother's robe. Soraya pulled the girl close. "They chased us for days," Soraya whispered. "We escaped through the jungle. My guards are dead. My daughter is all I have." Elias looked around. "Who's chasing you?" "Bounty hunters. Slavers. My own people. They want my daughter, because of her blood." Soraya's eyes locked onto his. "But if you claim us, if you take me as your concubine, they will have no right to take us. Human law protects bonded partners." Elias took a step back. "What? No, I know it sounds wrong," Soraya said quickly, "but it's the only way. If you bind me to you, your laws will shield us. You are human. They won't challenge you. Not openly." The little girl suddenly coughed. It was a dry, painful sound. Elias looked down at her. She was weak, thin, and trembling. He slowly holstered his weapon. "I'm no prince," Elias muttered. "I'm just a soldier. I don't even have a home." Soraya looked up at him, her expression steady.
"Then let me be your shadow, your servant, your burden. Just don't let them take my child." There was silence for a moment. The wind blew ashes across the ground. Elias nodded. "Come with me." He led them through the ruined corridors of
the human outpost. No one stopped him. No one questioned the woman in chains or the child at her side. Most thought they were just more alien refugees. Inside a quiet supply room, Elias found water and a thermal blanket. He handed them to Soraya. She gently wrapped the child, then drank from the water herself. "My daughter's name is Lila," she said softly. "She hasn't spoken since her father died." Elias sat against the wall. "Who was her father?" Soraya hesitated, then she whispered, "He was human, like you." Elias stared at her. "That's why they hunt us," she added. "Her blood is not pure, but I don't care. She is my child. She's everything." Lila reached out and touched Elias's boot with tiny fingers. Her eyes were big, soft, and full of fear, but also curiosity. Elias gave her a small smile. A loud noise outside made Soraya flinch. Elias stood quickly and looked out the broken window. A ship was landing near the outpost, black and red with sharp fins and alien markings. "They found us," Soraya said, standing fast. "The hunters." Elias cursed under his breath. "All right. If you want protection under human law, then we'll do it. But not here." Soraya stared at him. "There's a registry ship 2 sectors away," Elias said. "They can legally bind you to me, make it official. Until then, stay close. Do what I say." She lowered her head again. "Yes, Commander." Elias picked up his rifle. "And take those chains off. You're not a prisoner anymore." Soraya looked up slowly, hope flickering in her eyes. She dropped the chains with a soft clink and stood tall. "Thank you," she whispered. As the hunter's footsteps echoed through the hallway outside, Elias looked at the mother and child beside him. He didn't know why he was helping them, but, somehow, it felt like the right thing to do. The night was quiet. Too quiet. Elias sat in the pilot's seat of the stolen shuttle, his eyes watching the stars ahead. Behind him, in the small sleeping chamber, Soraya held her daughter close. The little girl, Lila, had finally fallen asleep. But Soraya couldn't. Rest Elias knew they were being followed. He could feel it like a shadow moving just out of sight. Every few minutes he checked the scanner. No sign of ships yet, but it was only a matter of time. "Are you sure this is safe?" Soraya asked softly, stepping into the cockpit. Elias nodded, but his eyes didn't leave the screen. "We're headed to a trade moon called Turvos 9. There's a registry post there. They can process the bond papers. Once it's official, you'll be protected by human treaty laws." Soraya looked down. "And once it's done, what will happen to us?" Elias hesitated. "You'll be safe. That's all that matters." She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "You didn't have to do this. You could have turned us in, sold us, left us." "I don't sell mothers with children," Elias muttered. Suddenly a loud beep, beep, beep came from the console. "Incoming signal," he said, his tone sharp. "Encrypted." He opened the message. A robotic voice filled the air. "To the human transporting House Varnix fugitives, surrender the child. You have 12 hours, or we will tear the sky apart." Elias slammed his fist into the panel. "They're tracking us." "How?" Soraya gasped. "Must have placed a beacon on you," Elias said. "Did anyone touch you after the palace raid?" She froze. "Yes. A slaver captain. He grabbed my arm." Elias jumped from the seat. "Then we need to find that tracker, now." He rushed to the back and scanned her arm with a portable device. A small red light flashed. "There," he said. "In your wrist. Tiny implant. Just under the skin." He picked up a laser scalpel. "This will sting." Soraya didn't flinch. "Do it." He cut into the skin carefully, blood oozing as he pulled out a tiny silver chip no larger than a grain of rice. "Got it," he said, tossing it into a containment box. "Now they'll follow the signal while we head the other way." Soraya wiped the blood herself, calm like a warrior. Elias was impressed. She wasn't just a princess, she had survived things no one should. Later, the shuttle dipped into a nebula, and Elias dropped the tracker pod into an escape drone, launching it in the opposite direction. "Let them chase that," he said, sitting. Back in the pilot's seat, Soraya sat beside him. For a while they didn't speak. The stars glowed outside and Lila snored softly in the back. "You're not like the stories," Soraya whispered. Elias raised an eyebrow. "What stories?" "The ones about humans," she said. "That you're cruel. That you're conquerors. That you only want power." Elias chuckled. "Some of us are. But not all." She turned to face him. "Then why are you helping me?" Elias thought for a moment. Then he said, "Because your daughter looked at me. The way my sister used to look at me. Before the war took her." Soraya's expression changed. "I'm sorry." He shrugged. "It was a long time ago." Suddenly the ship jolted. An alarm screamed. "Missile lock." Elias swore and pulled the controls. The shuttle dove sharply, stars spinning as a missile streaked past them. Another blast rocked the ship. "We've got a tail," he shouted. Soraya grabbed Lila and strapped her into the crash seat. "Do what you must." Elias powered up the boosters. The small shuttle couldn't outrun a warship, but he had one trick left. He guided the shuttle into the rings of a nearby gas giant, thick with ice and debris. Inside the cloud, the enemy's sensors would be blind. "Hold on," he yelled. The ship spun through chunks of frozen rock. One piece scraped the hull, sparking fire. Another slammed into the wing. but Elias held tight, weaving through the chaos like a madman. Behind them, the hunter ship entered the rings, too fast. Elias flipped the shuttle up and fired the rear cannon. Boom! An explosion lit the clouds. The hunter ship was gone. Elias breathed, heavily, sweat on his face. You did it, Soraya said, stunned. No, Elias replied. We did it. The shuttle floated quietly now, hidden deep in the planet's rings. Outside, the galaxy spun on. Inside, a human man and a broken alien royal woman sat beside each other, hearts pounding, but alive. And for the first time since her world fell, Soraya let herself believe they might survive this. The spaceport. On Turvos 9 smelled like rust, smoke, and lies. Elias stepped off the shuttle first, scanning the crowd. The planet was neutral territory, ruled by trade lords and guilds, not empires or armies. It was the kind of place where anything could be bought, including protection. Behind him, Princess Soraya wore a rough cloak, her silver hair hidden under a hood. Lila clung to her mother's side, eyes wide as she stared at the strange machines and creatures passing by. They looked like a normal family, poor, quiet travelers. But one wrong look, one wrong word, and it would all fall apart. Stay close, Elias whispered. We go to the registrar first, no talking. Let me do the speaking. Soraya nodded. She was good at pretending now. They made their way to a small, worn-down building made of metal plates and flickering lights. The sign above the door read, Interplanetary Union Office, Human Sector Registry. Inside, a bored AI agent floated above the desk, its voice dry. State your purpose, Elias answered firmly. Human-alien bond registration, concubine contract, urgent protection clause. The AI's eye blinked. Emergency bond, under code 114B, processing. Please place your hand on the panel. Sir. Elias placed his palm on the scanner. A blue light swept over his hand. Now the female. The AI droned. Soraya hesitated. She looked at Elias. Do it, he whispered. It's just for paperwork, that's all. Soraya slowly raised her hand. The panel glowed as it read her alien DNA. The AI paused. Warning. Subject is of Royal Varnix lineage. Class 1 bloodline. Are you sure you wish to proceed, human? Elias didn't blink. Yes. Very well. Bond registration will take 5 minutes. Do you wish to include offspring under legal guardianship? Elias turned to Soraya. The little girl looked up at him with wide, innocent eyes. Yes, he said quietly. She's mine now too. Soraya looked away, her lips trembling. A printer spit out a small metallic tag. The AI floated closer and inserted it into a glowing orb. This is your proof of bond. Anyone who challenges it is challenging the Human Protection Charter. Elias took the tag. Got it. Before they could leave, the AI asked, Would you like a ceremonial imprint? For tradition? What's that? Elias asked. Shared. Touch between bonded partners. Not required, but traditional. Elias turned to Soraya. We don't have to, he said. But Soraya surprised him. She stepped forward, placed her hand in his, and looked him in the eyes. I want them to see, she said. They placed their hands inside the glowing orb. A wave of light pulsed out, and for 1 second Elias felt something strange, like warmth, but deeper, something ancient. Binding. The AI beeped. Registration complete. Human Elias Dane is now legal protector and bonded keeper of Varnix subject, Soraya and her child Lila. May your bond endure. Outside, Soraya walked silently beside him. Elias couldn't stop thinking about that moment in the orb. It wasn't supposed to mean anything, just a formality. So why did it feel like something had changed? They found a room in a run-down inn near the edge of the city. It was small, 1 bed, cracked window, leaky faucet, but it was safe. For now. That night, as Elias checked his gear, Soraya sat on the bed brushing Lila's hair. She's sleeping better, Elias said quietly. Yes, Soraya replied. She hasn't had nightmares tonight. He nodded, then said, You didn't have to put your hand in that orb. I know, she said. Why did you? Soraya didn't answer at first. Then she stood and walked over to the window, staring at the stars. Back on my world, she said, marriage is political, cold, forced. But that moment when I touched your hand, I felt something real. Not duty, not fear, just peace. Elias looked away. He wasn't good with emotions. I'm not a king, he muttered. I'm not even a good man. Soraya turned to him. You're not perfect, but you saved my daughter, and you didn't ask for anything in return? He met her gaze. What, now? She gave a soft smile. Now we pretend to be husband and wife, until the universe stops trying to kill us. They both laughed softly, for the first time. But in the shadows outside, a small flying drone hovered near their window. It zoomed away quickly, disappearing into the night sky. Far above, on a nearby moon, a bounty lord watched the feed on his screen. He zoomed in on the bonded image. Found you, princess, he whispered. And this time, there's nowhere left to run. A red moon rose over Turvos 9. Inside the quiet inn, Elias slept on the floor beside the door, rifle near his hand. On the bed, Soraya held her daughter, both wrapped in an old thermal blanket. The light from the cracked window painted shadows across the wall, but peace never lasted long. At exactly 4:02 in the morning, the room began to shake. Boom! A sonic blast ripped through the sky. The glass shattered. Elias jumped up. We're under attack. Alarms outside began to wail. People screamed. Ships took off from the spaceport in a panic. Soraya grabbed her daughter and looked out the window. A massive alien warship hovered above the city, black, bone-like, with glowing green symbols. Her eyes went cold. I know that ship, she whispered. That's Lord Threxon's flagship. He was my father's war advisor. Now he wants my crown. Elias loaded his weapon. Looks like he tracked us. A loud voice echoed through the city from the warship's speakers. This is Commander Threxon of the Varnix Purity Fleet. Return the traitor Soraya and her child. You have 1 hour. If not, we will destroy this city. Elias looked at Soraya. You're not going anywhere. But, no, he said firmly. We're bonded now, legally and spiritually. If they want you, they'll have to go through me. Soraya looked into his eyes. They will. They left the room quickly, moving through the panicking streets. Fires lit the sky as people ran to escape pods. Soraya kept Lila close while Elias searched for a path out. At the edge of the trade sector, a familiar face waited. Tolrin, Elias muttered. The old human mechanic, grease on his face, leaned against a crawler bike. Told you they'd come, he said with a smirk. You got us a way out? Elias asked. Tolrin nodded toward the cargo bay. Hidden freighter, no IDs. It'll take you to the outer ring. We'll never make it to the pad with a warship overhead, Elias said. Tolrin grinned. Then you'll need a distraction. A second later, explosions rocked the nearby supply depot. Smoke rose into the air. Soraya stared in shock. You did that? Tolrin shrugged. Let's just say I hate tyrants. They raced toward the freighter, but halfway there, a squad of alien enforcers dropped from the sky in black armor, cutting them off. Elias fired first, clean shots, fast and deadly. Soraya ducked low with Lila, whispering to her, Don't look, my heart. Just hold tight. The last of the soldiers fell. But then, he landed. Threxon himself. He was tall, armored in white and gold with glowing blue eyes. His voice thundered as he walked toward them. You've fallen far, Soraya. From palace halls to hiding behind a Tao. Human, I'd rather fall with honor than kneel to filth, she hissed. Threxon smirked. That child carries power beyond blood. She belongs to the Empire. Elias stepped in front of them. You'll have to kill me first. Threxon raised his hand. A ball of energy formed in his palm. Gladly, he hurled it. Elias braced for impact, but Soraya stepped in front. The blast struck her directly. She collapsed. Soraya! Elias shouted, Lila cried out. Her tiny hands glowed. The ground beneath them cracked. Power surged from her like a pulse. Threxen stumbled, back surprised. Elias grabbed the child and Soraya's body. "Get to the ship," he yelled. Tolrin was already starting the engines. "Move it." Inside the freighter, Elias laid Soraya on a seat. Her body was burned but breathing. "She's alive," he whispered, shaking. Lila curled beside her mother, still glowing faintly. Outside, Threxen screamed in rage as the freighter lifted off. "You can't run forever, human," he shouted. "The child will be mine." The ship broke through the clouds, stars filling the sky. Inside, Soraya opened her eyes weakly. She looked at Elias and whispered, "You stood between us and death." "You did the same," Elias replied. She smiled, faintly. "Then maybe we're not pretending anymore." Elias sat beside her, heart pounding. Outside, the warship grew smaller and smaller until it vanished into blackness. But the war had only just begun. The freighter drifted quietly through deep space, no stars, no chatter, just silence. Elias sat on the cold metal floor, holding a cloth to Soraya's side where the energy blast had struck her. Her skin was burned, but her breathing had become steadier. She was still unconscious. Lila sat close, her small hands gripping her mother's. She hadn't spoken a word since they left Tervus 9, not even a whisper. But something was changing. The air around her shimmered faintly, like heat waves rising. Off a fire, Elias noticed it. "Lila," he said gently, "are you okay?" The child looked up at him, and her eyes weren't normal anymore. They glowed, bright gold, like twin suns. Elias leaned closer. "What's happening to you?" Lila didn't answer, but her tiny hands moved over Soraya's wounds. Her fingers trembled, then light, soft, golden, healing. Elias watched in disbelief as the burned skin on Soraya's side began to mend. The black marks faded. Color returned to her cheeks. She opened her eyes slowly. "Lila," she whispered. Lila gave the smallest smile. Soraya sat up, her body weak but alive. She looked down at her daughter's glowing hands and whispered in awe, "It has started." "What started?" Elias asked, eyes wide. Soraya held her daughter close, then looked at Elias. "Her power. It's ancient, not just from my blood, but something deeper, something forgotten." Elias frowned. "She healed you." "She did more than that," Soraya said, voice shaking. "She awakened." Just then the ship's console beeped. They had a signal. Elias checked it. It wasn't enemy transmission. 'Twas a private message, from a place he hadn't heard of in years, Sanctum Aurealis. He looked at Soraya. "Do you know it?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, it's a hidden moon, protected by guardians of the old paths. My mother used to tell me stories of a time before the Empire, before kings, a time when people like Lila were trained, not hunted." Elias didn't hesitate. "We're going there." Soraya reached for his hand. "You believe in her now?" "I believe she's more than just a child," Elias said. "And I believe you didn't choose to carry this burden alone." He squeezed her hand. For a moment, she didn't let go. The freighter landed in a dense jungle valley, hidden beneath glowing clouds. Tall trees shimmered with blue leaves. Giant birds soared above like floating silk. The air buzzed with soft humming sounds. Not machines, but life. Lila walked between them silently, her eyes wide. Her hands still glowed faintly, reacting to the forest itself. At the edge of a stone bridge stood an ancient figure, a woman with white eyes and bark-colored skin. "You bring the child of light," she said, her voice like wind. Elias stepped forward, unsure. "We didn't know where else to go." The woman looked at Lila, then at Soraya. "She carries blood of 2 galaxies. She is rare and she is dangerous." "She's just a girl," Soraya said quickly. Power doesn't care about age, the woman replied, but it can be guided. A door opened in the cliffs nearby. Inside, monks with glowing tattoos waited. Will you leave her with us? The old woman asked. Elias looked down at Lila. The girl reached for his hand. Papa. The word made Soraya gasp. Elias crouched, facing the child. Do you want to stay here? Lila looked around, then back at him. Then slowly she nodded. Soraya knelt beside her. We will return for you, my heart. But you must grow strong now. For yourself, and for us. Lila hugged them both tighter than ever before. The monks led her inside and the door closed. That night, Elias and Soraya sat under the stars near a quiet fire. She called you Papa, Soraya whispered. Elias nodded. She meant it. She's never spoken that word to anyone, she said. Not even her real father. Elias looked at her. She doesn't see bloodlines. She sees who stayed. Silence hung between them. Then Soraya spoke. Do you ever wonder, why you? All the time, Elias admitted. Maybe you were chosen, she said. He laughed a little. I'm no hero. She leaned in. You're becoming one. A wind passed through the jungle. Far above in the hidden training temple, Lila lay on a soft stone bed. Her hands were still glowing, and from the skies, something watched. A probe. Silent. Recording. Somewhere across the stars, Commander Threxon smiled as the images played. You gave her to the monks? He chuckled. Fools. Now I know where to strike next. He turned to his soldiers. Prepare the armada. Months passed. The stars kept moving. Wars burned across systems. Empires shifted. But far from all that, on a forgotten farming moon called Halden's Reach, two people began again. Elias and Soraya lived in an old stone house hidden between silver fields and low glowing trees. The house was broken when they found it. Cracked. Walls. Shattered windows. No power. But it stood tall, like it refused to fall. Just like them. Every day, Elias worked with his hands. He fixed the roof, dug the soil, planted new roots. He built a windmill from old satellite parts. The place slowly came back to life. Soraya helped too. She chopped wood, grew herbs, and cooked simple food by firelight. Her royal hands, once soft, were now scarred. But she never complained. They didn't speak of the past much, or the Empire, or Threxon, or the child they left in the temple, but her name was always on their minds. Lila. Sometimes Soraya would stand in the field alone, looking at the stars, whispering her daughter's name like a prayer, and sometimes Elias would wake in the night, heart racing, hearing Lila call out in his dreams. One evening, as rain tapped gently on the windows, Soraya sat by the fire, her hair damp, her eyes warm. Elias poured her tea. Storm's slowing. Power cells are charging again. Do you miss it? She asked. What? The war, the fight, the noise. Elias chuckled. Never. Soraya gave a small smile. Neither do I. I never thought I'd live like this. Dirt on my clothes, wind in my hair, no crown, no court. You're still royalty to me, Elias said. She looked at him, amused. A concubine queen in a broken house? Elias sipped his tea. A warrior mother who raised a miracle. Their eyes met. There was silence. Not awkward, but something waiting. She broke it first. You've changed. So have you. Do you ever think, Soraya said softly, that maybe this isn't just hiding? Maybe it's something more? Elias nodded. I do. Then the moment was gone. The fire crackled. The wind howled again, but something unspoken had passed between them. The next day, as Elias repaired the barn, he noticed something strange. Tracks, boot prints in the mud, fresh. Too fresh. He knelt. Soraya, he called. She ran to him, sensing danger. Someone's been here? He pointed. 3 sets, heavy, not locals. They rushed inside and checked their scanners. One beacon was flashing. Low range, moving slowly toward them. Could just be traitors, Soraya said, but her voice lacked belief. Elias loaded his rifle. Or worse. That night, they didn't sleep. They waited. By sunrise, the sensor triggered, again. Closer. Then the door knocked. Just once. Elias raised his rifle. Soraya stood behind him. A voice came from outside. Don't shoot. I'm alone. Elias opened the door slightly. A woman stood there, hooded, soaked in rain, breathing hard. I'm from Sanctum Aurealis, she said. The temple. I brought a message. Soraya pulled the door wide. Is Lila okay? The woman nodded. She's strong, growing fast, but she's calling to you, even in her sleep. Elias stepped forward. Why now? Because danger follows her blood, the messenger said. Threxen knows where she trains. The temple is no longer safe. Soraya's breath caught. He's going for her, Elias said, jaw tight. The woman handed them a glowing stone. This is her signal imprint. She linked it to your names. You must come now, or you may never see her again. Soraya clutched, the stone like it was life itself. Elias looked out at the silver fields, the house they had built, the quiet life they carved from ashes. Then he turned back. We leave before nightfall. As they packed what little they had, Soraya paused. At the doorway, she looked back at the home they had made. Do you think we'll return? She asked quietly. Elias placed his hand on her shoulder. If we survive. And if we don't? He smiled faintly. Then let this place remember us. They stepped into the storm. Above them, hidden in orbit, a dark ship watched through cloaked eyes. Inside it, Threxen grinned at the flashing beacon. Run to her, he whispered. Let's finish this. The temple of Sanctum Aurealis was burning. Flames danced along the mountaintop. Sacred stones cracked under enemy boots. Statues of peace fell into dust. The sky thundered as black warships hovered overhead, dropping soldiers into the gardens once used for meditation. At the center of it all stood Lila. She was not crying. She was not running. She stood calm, still, barefoot on the marble floor as enemy soldiers surrounded her. A faint glow lit her palms. You think you're special, little thing? Hissed the lead enforcer. Your parents cannot protect you now. Lila looked up, gold eyes shining. They're coming. Miles below, Elias and Soraya raced across the rocky path in a stolen speeder, the temple burning on the horizon. We're... Too late, Elias muttered, hands tight on the controls. No, Soraya said firmly. She's still holding on. I can feel her. Wind tore past them. Thunder cracked above. Elias glanced at Soraya. Her cloak had fallen back. She wore the armor of her bloodline now, silver plating over her chest, ancient sword at her hip. You look like a queen again, he said. She looked forward, eyes sharp. I'm a mother first. The speeder climbed the mountain. Explosions shook the cliffs. Enemy drones zipped past. Elias shot 2 down with quick blasts. They reached the temple gates and found only wreckage. But from inside, a song began. Not music, not words, a pulse, a rhythm, a heartbeat. Inside the great hall, Lila stood as soldiers circled closer. One lunged. She raised her hand. The air cracked with light. He flew backward, slamming into a wall. 2 more attacked. The floor split beneath them, roots surging up, tossing them aside. From the smoke, a tall figure walked in. Threxen, he clapped slowly. So the rumors are true. Power blooms in you, little royal, and yet you are still just a child. Lila said nothing. He raised his blade. You'll serve me better unconscious. He stepped forward, but then, a blast. The doors flew open. Elias charged through, rifle blazing. Soraya was right behind him, sword drawn. Threxen growled. You always ruin things, human, Elias aimed. That's what I do best. Threxen raised his hand. A shockwave knocked Elias across the room. Soraya caught her sword in both hands. You laid hands on my daughter, that was your last mistake. She fought him, sword clashing against claws, sparks flying. Elias crawled toward Lila, blood on his face. Hey, sunshine. Lila ran into his arms. I knew you'd come, Papa. He held her tight. We're here. You're safe. But Soraya wasn't. Threxen pushed her to the ground. Her blade flew from her hand. He raised his weapon to strike. Then, Elias stood between them, unarmed, bleeding, but solid. I won't let you touch her. Threxen laughed. Still pretending to be a hero? No, Elias whispered. Just being what they need. Threxen struck, but before the blow landed, Lila stepped forward. Her hands touched the air between Elias and Threxen. Boom! A wave of light exploded from her body. Not fire, not force, pure memory. Threxen fell to his knees. He saw visions, Soraya's, pain, Elias's loyalty, Lila's heart, everything they had lived, everything they had built, love, family, sacrifice. The weight crushed him. He screamed and vanished in a flash of burning light. Only ashes remained. The fire stopped. The air grew still. Lila fainted into Elias's arms. Soraya crawled over, pulling them both close. Tears rolled down her face, but her voice was steady. We did it. Elias looked at her. She saved us. No, Soraya said. We saved each other. Days later, the temple was rebuilt, stone by stone. The monks returned. Lila stayed to continue her training, but now she wasn't alone. Elias and Soraya built a new house on the edge of the cliffs, a home with real walls, flowers on the windows, a chair for a child at every table. Every night, Elias tucked Lila in and told her stories, not of war, but of life, of stars, of rain, of laughter. One evening, under the glowing twin moon, Soraya stood beside Elias on the balcony. She wore no crown, no chains, only peace. Elias placed a small ring in her hand. It's not royal, he said. Just made it from old metal scraps. Soraya smiled. It's more than royal. She looked into his eyes. We were bonded by law once, by fear, by survival. But now, he finished for her. Now we're bonded by love. She slipped the ring on, and for the first time since her palace burned, the princess didn't feel lost. She felt home.